What is up, guys? Awkward Replay here, signing on for another video, and today I'd like to talk about the iPad Pro. This iPad Pro is the 12.9 inch. Today, I want to talk about the 9.7 inch. Now, the iPad Pro 9.7 inch model is very similar to the 12.9 inch, but there are a few differences. One difference is the screen. The screen is supposed to be the most anti-glare screen in the world. Do I believe it? I don't know what to say. It's a big claim. The second difference is the camera. The 9.7 inch has a 12 megapixel rear camera and a 5 megapixel front-facing camera, whereas the iPad Pro 12.9 inch has an 8 megapixel rear camera and a 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera. So a pretty big difference there. The 9.7 inch has a very equivalent camera as the iPhone 6s. Now, as far as all other specs are concerned, the iPad Pro 12.9 inch is almost identical to the iPad Pro 9.7 inch. Now, aside from those differences between the two Pros, what we're going to be comparing today is the iPad Air 2 versus the iPad Pro 9.7 inch. They're identical in size and shape and weight, so they're basically the same looking tablet, but a little different hardware. So we're gonna get into that a little bit more. Now, what I want to educate you guys on is whether you should buy the iPad Pro if it's very similar to the iPad Air 2. To start it off, the iPad Pro 9.7 inch and the iPad Air 2 have identical size and shape. Both screen sizes are 9.7 inch. A lot of people say that that is the perfect sweet spot for screen size of a tablet. I agree, it is a nice size, but I went with the 12-inch iPad Pro because of its screen size. I do want the larger screen size. Now, that said, the features of the iPad Pro 9.7 inch do outweigh the features of the iPad Air 2. First of which being the smart keyboard functionality with the Pro. The Pro does support the smart keyboard, whereas the iPad Air 2 does not. Another feature is the Apple Pencil. The Pro models are the only models that support the Apple Pencil as of right now. That's probably not going to change. The iPad Pro 9.7 inch has 4 speakers, whereas the iPad Air 2 has 2. The speakers on the Pros are pretty good. If you have the iPad Pro set horizontally, the top 2 speakers utilize the high range sounds, whereas the bottom 2 utilize the bass sounds. So if you switch it halfway through watching a video, it will alter automatically so that the top 2 are emitting the high range and the bottom 2 are emitting the low range, whereas the iPad Air 2 has no such feature. Now, processing speed. The iPad Air 2 has an A8X processor, whereas the iPad Pro a 9X processor. Basically what they boast is that the A9X processor is going to be around 1.8 times faster than the iPad Air 2 A8X processor. Graphics performance is going to be almost double the performance of the iPad Air 2. Let's talk about the battery. The iPad Air 2 advertises a 10-hour battery life. That's fair use, moderate, web browsing, music, streaming, stuff like that. 10 hours. Now, the iPad Pro advertises the same. My experience, I don't think I could last 10 hours using this. I mean, I do use a lot of graphic intense programs. I do draw a lot, do a lot of design with the iPad Pro, so that makes sense that it won't last 10 hours while drawing on the iPad Pro. So I do understand that. The iPad Pro 9.7 inch does have a smaller screen. It's not going to take up as much energy. The screen is actually a little bit updated from the iPad Pro 12 inch with that anti-glare screen. It's supposed to be 25% brighter, so I'm not sure if that would affect the battery life at all. Probably. I don't know. We'll see. Now here is the major point I have to make about the iPad Air 2 and the Pro 9.7 is the price. Now for the iPad Air, a new iPad Air 16GB Wi-Fi only, which is the bare minimum that you can get the iPad Air 2 in, that's $400 for that model. Now if you wanted the 64GB model Wi-Fi version, that's going to be $500. So $100 more, you get 4 times the size, Wi-Fi only. Now, if you wanted the data version on any carrier, if you want data on the tablet, that's going to be $530 for the 16GB model. Now, that's kind of a lot for a 16GB model. 16 gigs is not much, especially for a tablet or a phone. I mean, definitely not a phone. I don't know why Apple still, has their base model at 16 gigs. That is not enough for an adult to use for a phone. Especially if you have a lot of music and take a lot of photos. The iPad Air 2, again, if you want the 64GB model with data, that's going to be $630. So another $100, and you get the 64GB model. On to the price of the iPad Pro 9.7 inch. So the iPad Pro comes in 3 different sizes. The 32GB model, the 128GB model, and the 256GB model. The 32GB model, Wi-Fi only, is $600. The 128GB Wi-Fi only is $749. And finally, the 256GB Wi-Fi only is $900. And for the data model of the iPad Pro 9.7 inch, starting at 32GB, it's going to be $730. For the 128GB model, it's going to be $880. Now finally, for the 256GB model of the data iPad Pro, it's going to be $1,030. That's pretty good compared to the 12.9 inch iPad Pro, which was over $1,000 for even the 128GB. So the price is pretty good in comparison to the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. Now that's a pretty hefty amount, but if you're considering 256 gigabytes and data enabled, that's a pretty good deal compared to the iPad Pro 12.9 inch screen. What I say is, if you really, really want the Apple Pencil and you have the money, sure, you can get the 9.7 inch tablet, and it'll be worth it, I guess, because you'll have the Apple Pencil and you'll be able to use it. The Apple Pencil, by the way, is $100. So if you want the Apple Pencil, expect to be adding $100 to that, plus tax. But if you just want a tablet because you want an Apple tablet, if you want to spend $599 on a 32GB Wi-Fi only tablet, and you don't need the Apple Pencil and you don't need the smart keyboard, you can get keyboards for the iPad Air 2. It's not impossible. And if you don't need the smart keyboard or the Apple Pencil, then I would really recommend getting the iPad Air 2. It's not going to be all that much slower than the iPad Pro. I've used it. It's a good tablet. It was one of their top tablets very recently. And even if you go with the 64GB Wi-Fi only model of the iPad Air 2, you're still going to be saving a lot of money. You're going to be saving about $100 on the 64GB Wi-Fi only versus the base model of the iPad Pro. You're still going to be saving $100, which is good. I mean, if you want to save money, the iPad Air 2 is a perfectly good tablet that will do everything that you want, but you won't be able to use the Apple Pencil. There are plenty of stylus is out there. Intuos, I've used that one. That one's a great stylus. I've used that one. I really like it. It's probably one of the better ones out there. As far as the iPad Pro goes, the 12 megapixel rear camera, I mean, to be honest, if you have a phone, why would you take out your tablet to take a photo? Unless your phone is really crappy, in which I recommend upgrading your phone before you upgrade your tablet, you're not going to be taking a lot of photos with your tablet. I mean, let's be real. If we want to take a nice quality photo, we're not going to take out a tablet. We're going to take out our phones, which we know can take good videos and good photos. Even though the iPad Pro 9.7 inch can take 4K videos, just like the iPhone 6s, we don't want to be holding a tablet to take videos. It's just not, it's not going to be fun, you know? Okay, and let's be real. There are a lot of reviewers out there who say that this series, the Pro series, will replace your PC, and that is flat out wrong. Sure, the Pro series does have features that are better utilized with the keyboard and with the Apple Pencil, but it's not going to replace your PC, not by a long shot. I've used my iPad Pro for a few months now, and it is basically exactly like the iPad Air 2, the iPad Mini, but you get the Apple Pencil, or you can use the Apple Pencil, and it has a few different features for multitasking that make it easier with the smart keyboard. But if you are thinking about getting the iPad Pro because it has all this functionality that you can replace your PC with, that is not true. That is false, and you'd be wasting your money buying the iPad Pro if that is the only reason. In that case, get the iPad Air 2. It is much cheaper, affordable. You can get more for your money. You can, like, for this almost the same price as the basic Wi-Fi model of the iPad Pro 9.7 inch, you can get the largest model of the iPad Air 2 for $30 more. $630, you can get the 64 gigabyte data model, whereas the iPad Pro 9.7 inch, it's $600 for the 32 gig Wi-Fi model. So in comparison, the iPad Air 2 is going to be a much better buy for the basic consumer, you know, who doesn't need all this power to do basically the same thing that the iPad Air 2 can do. So just make an informed decision. Don't just buy it because it's new. Don't just buy it because, you know, it's boasting all these things. Think to yourself, do I need the iPad Pro's camera to be phenomenal? Do I need an iPad that has a phenomenal camera? You might be doing Skype, you might be doing, you know, FaceTime. Whatever the reason, think about it, make an informed decision, and just be smart about it, you know. Sure, it's going to be a little faster, it's going to be better for media. If you watch a lot of videos, and you watch a lot of videos with family, the iPad Pro 9.7 might be a good option, might not. You might want to go with the 12 inch if you do watch a lot of videos with your family, you don't have a TV to connect to, and you just want to have the larger screen to display to your fans and folks or whatever, then I would go with the 12 inch. If you do a lot of design, drawing, I use Procreate personally on my iPad Pro 12 inch. It is great. I love the screen size. I think that is perfectly optimized for taking notes. I bring this to class with me all the time, write notes during lectures. It is a great tablet for taking notes, but you can do that with the iPad Air 2 if you get, you know, a third-party stylus, not from Apple. Like I said, I use the Intuos. I forget the actual model, but it's by Intuos. They make really good products, and I've used that one, and I really did enjoy that. That was the stylus that really introduced me to drawing on a tablet, and then I, you know, recently picked up the Apple Pencil with my iPad Pro. So there's really nothing that you can't do with the iPad Air 2 that you can with the iPad Pro. There's really not much of a difference. They're both tablets. If the iPad Pro is saying it can replace your computer, don't believe it, because it's just a tablet. Computers can do so much more than tablets can do. So, I'm just, a guy. You're watching this video, and you don't listen to me. If you really want this, I'm not gonna stop you. I mean, I physically can't stop you. I can give you my 2 cents, but at the end of the day, it's your decision. If you want to, if you have the money to spend on a new tablet, go with the iPad Pro. I do like drawing a lot, and the Apple Pencil is extremely accurate. It is very, very handy to use, and I'm glad that I have the ability to use the Apple Pencil for drawing and taking notes. But like I said, if you're tight on money, go with the iPad Air 2. You can get a stylus for about the same price, if not a little cheaper, than the Apple Pencil, and it'll still be very good quality. Alright guys, so that's all I got for you. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe. If you have any comments, where the comment section is down below. I do like to hear from you guys. I like to get feedback, input. Let me know what you guys want to see. More gameplays, more tech reviews. Let me know, and I'll try to deliver as best as I can. This is Awkward Replay. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Awkward Replay, signing off.